Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Let's head to the movies, an episode of the Screen Guild Players. This episode stars Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid-Bergman in that classic Casablanca. This episode broadcast in the middle of World War II, April 26, 1943.
Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players. The Screen Guild play tonight, Casablanca. The starring players, this is Humphrey Bogart.
This is Ingrid Bergman.
And this is Paul Henry. Tonight, Lady Esther presents the Screen Guild Players in Warner Brothers' exciting story of romance and intrigue in wartime Africa, Casablanca, with the original stars of the picture, Paul Henry as Victor Laszlo, Ingrid Bergman as Ilse Lund, and Humphrey Bogart as Rick Blaine. Barely escaping the conquering Germans' entrance into Paris, Rick Blaine fled to Casablanca. There, months before the American troops landed, he was operating Rick's American Cafe. Casablanca swarmed with refugees, and Casablanca's more permanent foreign residents did a land office business in exit visas and letters of transit. Rick, however, avoided involvement in that dangerous business until the night our story began. He was in his office above the cafe, where he could watch and hear the crowd below when his head waiter called to him.
Maury?
Yes, Carl?
The prefect of police, Captain Renault, would like to speak to you.
I'll send him in.
Yes, sir. Rick will see you, Captain Renault.
Thank you, Carl. Hello, Rick.
Hello, Louis. Why the formality?
Well, I have some unpleasant news for you, Ricky.
I mean, you're looking for more graft.
Oh, no. At least not right now. My men arrested Ugarte on his way to your roulette wheel, Ricky.
Well, except to Ugarte, what's so unpleasant about that?
Well, in itself, nothing. But we arrested Ugarte for murdering 2 German couriers and stealing their letters of transit. Ugarte did not have those letters of transit when he was arrested, and he's seen no one but you, Ricky, since the murder.
What are you building up to, Louis? Arresting me?
No, not immediately at any rate. I just want to give you a word of advice. Ugarte was going to sell those letters tonight to Victor Laszlo.
Laszlo? Here in Casablanca?
Yeah. Well, you know, Ricky, this is the first time I've ever seen you so impressed.
As head of the underground movement, Laszlo's impressed half the world.
Yes, it's my duty to see that it does not impress the other half. Rick, Laszlo must never reach America. He stays in Casablanca.
20,000 francs says he doesn't.
We'll make it 10,000. After all, I'm only a poor, corrupt official.
All right, it's a bet.
Well, no one else would dare supply Laszlo with exit visas, Ricky, and since he can't leave Casablanca without them, make certain that you don't give him those letters of transit.
But
Oh, you needn't deny it, Rick. I'm certain you have the letters.
Even if I had those letters, Louis, you know I'd stick my neck out for nobody.
Yes, to date. But I suspect, Ricky, under that cynical shell, you're a sentimentalist. Now, if you'll come downstairs with me, I'll introduce you to Major Strasser and Victor Laszlo and his charming companion, the most beautiful woman who has ever come to Casablanca.
You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by.
Sam.
Yes, boss?
I thought I told you never to play that song again.
Well, boss, you see, I didn't really...
Sam's not to blame, Rick. I asked him to play it.
You? Ilsa?
Yes, Rick. Ilsa.
What are you doing in Casablanca?
Just traveling through with Victor Laszlo.
Where is he?
He'll be right back. He's looking for someone.
Well, I found your wandering escort, Mademoiselle Lund. Ricky, I have the honor of introducing...
We're old acquaintances, Captain Renault.
Oh, you know each other? Well, then, Ricky, do you also know...
This is Mr. Victor Laszlo.
Well, here's a great deal about Rick in Casablanca.
And about Victor Laszlo everywhere. I congratulate you.
What for?
Oh, your work.
Thank you. I try.
We all try. You succeed.
I can't get over you and Mademoiselle Lund knowing each other, Ricky. Under the circumstances, it worries me.
Well, it needn't.
Let's see, Rick. The last time we met...
Was it La Belle Aurore?
How nice, you remembered. But, of course, that was the day the Germans marched into Paris.
I remember every detail. The Germans wore gray. You wore blue.
I don't wish to be the one to say, dear sir, but it's late. We'll come again, Monsieur Blaine.
Anytime.
Will you say goodnight to Sam for me, Rick?
I will.
There's still nobody in the world who can play as time goes by like Sam.
I'll tell him. That's what she said, Sam. Nobody can play as time goes by like you.
Aren't you going to stop drinking and go to bed, boss?
No. Play as time goes by, Sam.
Oh, I don't think I can remember it, boss.
If she can stand it, I can. Play it. I got a date with a memory in Paris.
You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time.
Now I really know the meaning of happiness, Richard. It's being here in Paris with you.
And the German army 50 miles away. Who are you really, Ilsa? What were you before you came to Paris?
At the beginning, we said no questions, Richard.
You know, I can't help wondering why I should be so lucky. Why I should find you waiting for me to come along.
Why there is no other man in my life? Well, that's easy. There was. He's dead.
I'm sorry. I know we said no questions. I'll never ask another.
Richard, you must leave Paris before the Germans arrive. You're on their blacklist.
Their roll of honor.
Oh, don't joke, Richard. You must leave.
Oh, no. We must leave.
Yes.
Oh, now, the train for Marseille leaves at 5. Say, why don't we get married in Marseille?
No. Oh, that's too far ahead to plan.
Ilsa, what's the matter?
Nothing, darling. Nothing. It's just that I love you so much. Oh, it's a crazy world. Anything can happen. If you shouldn't get away, if something should keep us apart, wherever you are, wherever I'll be, I want you to know. Richard. Kiss me as if it were the last time.
A kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply.
Boss, wake up. Boss, you gotta wake up. That lady's here. And this ain't no memory in Paris. She's right here.
You're as drunk as I am, Sam.
No, he's not, Rick. I'm here. I left Victor at the hotel and came back. I have to talk to you.
Funny about your voice, how it hasn't changed. I can still hear it. Richard, dear, I'll go with you any place. We'll get on a train together. We'll never stop.
No, please. I can understand how you feel.
You understand how I feel. How long was it we had?
I didn't count the days.
Well, I did. Every one of them. Mostly I remember the last one. You and I were going to run away from Paris together.
Oh.
But you didn't meet me at the station, did you?
Please, Rick.
That was a wild finish, me standing on the platform. The last train about to pull out. But you didn't show up, and Sam had to push me on the train.
The Rick I loved in Paris would let me explain, but this Rick, looking at me with hatred. I'll be leaving Casablanca soon. We'll never see each other again.
You'll see me before you go.
No, Rick.
Oh, yes, you will. Some night you'll lie to Laszlo and come to me.
No. No, you see, Victor Laszlo is my husband. And was, even when I knew you in Paris.
Well, Laszlo, I wondered when you'd come to see me.
Captain Reno and Major Strasser kept me busy for the past 24 hours.
Well, there's no use fencing around. You've come about those letters of transit, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
You and Strasser and Reno. Seems to be the general impression in Casablanca that I have those letters.
Suppose we assume that you have them.
All right, go ahead.
You must know it's very important I get out of Casablanca.
Why you? More than any of the others stuck here?
It's my privilege to be one of the leaders of a great movement. You know what I've been doing. You know what it means to the work, to the lives of thousands and thousands of people, that I reach America and...
Don't you ever wonder if what you're fighting for is worth all this?
We might as well question why we breathe. If we stop breathing, we die. If we stop fighting today's enemies, the world will die.
What of it? It'll be out of its misery.
You know, Monsieur Blaine, you sound like a man trying to convince himself of something he doesn't believe in his heart. That wasn't always your attitude. You ran guns to Ethiopia. You fought against the fascists in Spain.
I was well paid on both occasions.
The winning side would have paid you better. Isn't it strange that you always happen to be fighting on the side of the underdog?
Well, let's say that I'm a poor businessman.
Are you businessmen enough to appreciate an offer of 100,000 francs for those letters?
Oh, I appreciate it. But if you offered me 1,000,000 francs, I wouldn't accept it.
Very well, then. You have the letters of transit. You won't give them to me. But I want Ilsa to be safe. Monsieur Blaine, I ask you as a favor to use the letters to take her away from Casablanca.
You love her that much?
Yes, I love her that much.
Oh, sorry, but it's no deal.
But why?
I suggest that you ask your wife.
My wife?
Yes. Who's singing that song?
Probably Strasser and his Gestapo agents. They followed me here.
Now, don't start anything. I don't want any trouble in here that'll force Reno to close my joint.
You have no objections to your band accompanying me while I sing, do you?
No, go ahead. I'm neutral. If one customer can sing, they can all sing.
They all will sing. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready, Mr. Laszlo.
Then play it.
Act One of Casablanca, starring Ingrid Bergman, Humphrey Bogart, and Paul Henreid.
April 26, 1943, the Screen Guild Players here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now more, the Screen Guild Players, April 26, 1943, Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, Casablanca.
Now the curtain rises on the second act of Casablanca, starring Humphrey Bogart as Rick Blaine, Ingrid Bergman as Ilsa Lund, and Paul Henreid as Victor Laszlo. Angered by the manner in which the patrons of Rick's Cafe joined Victor Laszlo in singing the Marseillaise, Major Strasser forced Captain Reno to close Rick's place and ordered Victor Laszlo and Ilsa Lund to remain in their hotel.
Victor, I'm frightened. Please don't go to the underground meeting tonight.
To tell you the truth, my dear, I'm frightened too. So shall I hide here in our hotel room, or shall I carry on the best I can?
Whatever I would say, you would carry on.
Since our friend Rick has refused to part with those letters of transit, what else am I to do?
Did Rick give you any reason?
He suggested I ask you.
Ask me?
Yes. Ilsa, when I was in the concentration camp, were you lonely in Paris?
Yes, Victor, I was.
I know how it is to be lonely. I love you very much, my dear.
Yes. Yes, I know. Victor, whatever I do, will you believe that...
You don't even have to say it. I'll believe. I must get to the underground meeting now. Good night, my dear.
Good night. Hello, Rick.
Well, I told you you'd be around to see me, but this is a little ahead of schedule.
Richard, I had to see you.
Oh, so I'm Richard again. We're back in Paris.
Please.
Your unexpected visit isn't connected by any chance with the letters of transit, is it?
Richard, you can ask any price, but you must give me those letters.
I went all through that with your husband. There's no deal.
Richard, we loved each other once. If those days meant anything at all to you...
I wouldn't bring up Paris if I were you. It's poor salesmanship.
Please listen to me. If you knew what really happened...
I wouldn't believe you no matter what you told me. You'll say anything now to get what you want.
Richard, don't you understand? You are our last hope. If you don't help us, Victor Laszlo will die in Casablanca.
What of it? I'm going to die in Casablanca. It's just a spot for it. Now, if you... Well, I see you come prepared for anything. Give me that gun.
No. I tried to reason with you. I tried everything. Now, if you don't give me those letters, I'll shoot.
Go ahead.
Get me those letters.
No, they're right here in my pocket. I don't have to. If you want them, you'll have to kill me to get them. If the underground means so much, you won't stop at anything. And if you don't shoot fast, I'm going to take that gun away from you. Now give it to me.
Oh, Richard. I tried to stay away. I thought I would never see you again, that you were out of my life. If you knew what I went through the day you left Paris, how much I loved you, how much I still love you. We had been married only 3 weeks when Victor got word that they needed him in Prague. He was captured almost immediately and sent to a concentration camp. Then came word he was dead. I was lonely before, but then I had nothing left, not even hope, until I met you.
But why didn't you tell me all this in Paris?
Victor made me promise to keep our marriage a secret. He was afraid that if the Gestapo found out I was his wife, it would be dangerous for me and for those working with us. I kept my promise.
And then you got word he'd escaped?
Yes, a friend called, telling me that he was ill and hiding in a freight car near Paris. I didn't tell you because you wouldn't have left Paris and they would have caught you. Well, you know the rest.
It's still a story without an ending. What about now?
Well, I'll never have the strength to go away from you again.
And Laszlo?
Well, you'll help him now, won't you, Richard?
Yes.
He'll have his work, all the things he's been living
All
for.
except you.
I can't fight it anymore. I don't know what's right any longer. You'll have to think for both of us, Richard. For all of us.
I've already made up our minds, and I think I can arrange everything with Renault. Here's the setup, Louis. I'm selling out my place and leaving Casablanca on tonight's plane, the last plane.
What?
And I'm taking Ilsa Lund with me. Ilsa's Victor Laszlo's wife. Louis, I'll make a deal with you.
What is it?
I want to be sure that Laszlo doesn't escape this time. Now, if you could get him on a real criminal charge, would that be a feather in your cap?
It most certainly would. Germany, the chief would be grateful.
Then be at my place a half hour before the plane leaves. I'll arrange for Laszlo to be there, thinking I'll sell him the letters of transit. When I hand them to him, that'll give you the criminal grounds for making the arrest.
Ricky, I'll miss you. Apparently, the only one in Casablanca that has even less scruples than I.
Thanks. Oh, and by the way, Louis, come for Laszlo alone. Yeah, I'm taking no chances on a double cross, even from you.
Double cross? Why, Ricky?
You might get ideas about slapping me in the jug for selling those letters, you know. Well, don't forget, a half hour before plane time. Alone.
Don't worry, Ricky. This is an honor I'll share with no one.
Monsieur Blaine, I don't know how to thank you.
There's no time for that.
Screen Guild Players' production of Casablanca, April 26, 1943, concludes following these messages. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. Classic Radio Theater, I'm Wyatt Cox. Now the conclusion of Screen Guild Players. Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid-Bergman, April 26, 1943.
You won't have any trouble in Lisbon, will you?
No, that's all arranged.
Good. Well, here are the letters.
Monsieur Blaine,
Victor Laszlo, you're under arrest on a charge of accessory to the murder of the couriers from whom those letters were stolen.
Now, just a minute. Nobody's going to be arrested, Louis. Not for a while yet.
Rick, put that gun down. Have you lost your mind?
Stay where you are, Louis. I wouldn't like to shoot you. But I will if you take one more step toward me. Keep your hands away from your pistol.
Well, I suppose you know what you're doing, but I wonder if you realize what this means, Rick.
Perfectly. In fact, Captain Renault, we'll take you along as our hostage, so there won't be any trouble at the airport. Only 10 minutes till the plane leaves. We have to hurry.
I'll go get the luggage aboard. Coming, Ilsa?
No, I'll wait here with Rick and the captain.
I'll be right back.
Those letters of transit are in blank, Louis. You fill in the names. That'll make it even more official.
Oh, you think of everything, Ricky.
The names to fill in are Mr. and Mrs. Victor Laszlo.
Mr. But why my name, Richard?
Because you're getting on that plane.
But what about you?
I'm staying here to keep Captain Renault company till the plane leaves.
No, Rich. What has happened to you last night?
Last night we said a great many things. Did you mean everything you said?
You know I did.
You said I'd have to do the thinking for all of us. Well, my thinking adds up to you getting on that plane with Victor.
No, but Richard...
I know what you're going to say, that you belong here with me.
Yes.
But if you stayed here, we'd both land in a concentration camp. Isn't that right, Louis?
I'm afraid that Major Strasser would insist.
You're only saying this to make me go.
I'm no good at being noble, Ilsa. I'm saying it because it's right.
What about us?
We'll always have Paris. We didn't have it. We lost it. Till you came to Casablanca. We got it back last night.
When I said that I would never leave you.
Everything is in order. Are you ready, Ilsa?
Laszlo, there's something I'd like you to know before you leave.
I know, Monsieur Rick. Ilsa has told me all I need to know about you and herself. I don't ask you to explain anything.
And I'm going to anyway. Might make a difference to you later. Last night, Ilsa tried everything to get those letters. When nothing else worked, she did her best to pretend that she was still in love with me. That was all over long ago. For your sake, she tried to pretend it wasn't. And I tried to let her pretend. We couldn't even fool ourselves.
Richard.
Monsieur Blaine, welcome back in the fight. This time our side will win. Shall we board the plane, Ilsa?
Yes, Victor, I'm ready. God bless you, Richard.
Goodbye.
Well, I suppose you know this isn't going to be pleasant for either of us, Ricky. I have to arrest you, of course.
When the plane leaves, Louis.
Well, sooner, I'm afraid, Ricky. Here comes Major Strasser.
You better keep quiet, Louis. I'd hate to have to shoot you now.
Why did you ask me to come to the airport, Captain?
Well, I was afraid Victor Laszlo might be leaving on this plane, sir.
Sort of a double cross, eh, Louis?
Of all the ridiculous ideas, Captain.
Possibly. Nevertheless, he's on the plane.
Well, why do you stand there? Why don't you stop him?
Ask Monsieur Rick.
Stay where you are, Strasser.
Herr Blaine, I would advise you not to interfere with an officer of the Third Reich.
I'm a true neutral, Strasser. I was willing to shoot Captain Renault, and I'm willing to shoot you.
But you'll shoot too late.
Oh. Nice shooting, Ricky. But I'm afraid my gendarmes heard those shots. Well, till after this affair dies down, Ricky, I think you'd better disappear from Casablanca. I can arrange your transportation to a fighting French garrison in Brazzaville.
All right, Louis. I could use the trip, but don't forget, you still owe me 10,000 francs for our bet on Laszlo's escape.
Oh, well, we'll need that to get to Brazzaville.
We'll need it?
Certainly. I can be as silly a sentimentalist as you.
You know, Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Thanks to Warner Brothers for Casablanca, and our sincere appreciation to Ingrid-Bergman, Paul Henreid, and Humphrey Bogart for appearing with the Lady Esther Screen Guild players tonight.
It was our pleasure, Mr. Bradley. We know how these programs benefit the Motion Picture Relief Fund, and we know, too, how important the relief fund is to our profession. We're happy to give our services.
April 26, 1943, the Screen Guild Players on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Okay, another episode of the soap opera Claudia. This episode, entitled Noises in the Night, originally broadcast April 26, 1948.
Your Coca-Cola bottler presents Claudia, based on the famous play and novels by Rose Franken. Brought to you, transcribed Monday through Friday, by your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. Relax. And while you're listening, refresh yourself. Have a Coke. And now, Claudia.
David, what was that?
Nothing.
The noisiest nothing I ever heard.
Darling, we're not in New York. We're in the country. Nothing happens in the middle of the night in the country.
Nothing?
Go back to sleep.
Say, I wonder if Mama heard it.
Heard what?
The nothing that made a noise. Well, I don't hear anything now. Maybe I dreamt it. Or is it dreamed it?
Imagined it.
Oh, nonsense. A person doesn't imagine when they're asleep.
I'm asleep and I imagine that you're talking. At least I hope I'm imagining it. Good night, darling.
Good night. So quiet.
It's a shame to talk and not appreciate how quiet it is.
I like to talk in the middle of the night.
I know. There.
Oh.
I heard it this time.
Really? I didn't hear anything.
What was it?
You really thought you heard something?
It sounded like the garbage pail to me.
Darling, they don't collect the garbage at 2 in the morning. As a matter of fact, I've discovered in the country they don't collect it at all.
Well, I better go see what it is.
David, where are you going?
I'm going downstairs to see what's going on.
Oh, maybe it's...
Maybe it's what?
I don't know, but it's so dark in the middle of the night.
A very profound observation.
Don't go, David.
Darling, it isn't anything. Probably just a squirrel.
None of the squirrels I've known would be prowling around in the middle of the night. David, if it's a robber, just be nice and invite him in.
If it's a robber, he's in for a great disappointment. We don't have anything for him to rob.
David, can you hear me?
What is it?
Did you take a flashlight? David, I'm coming down. Darling, you all right? Oh, it's so quiet and dark. David, is that you?
Darling, what are you doing standing down here in the hall? Why didn't you stay in bed?
Are you all right?
Certainly I'm all right.
Who was it? Or rather, what was it?
It was what was it?
Oh.
Come on.
Let's go up. I'm sleepy.
Well, what was it?
I asked him to please go, and he did.
Now, please be serious.
He was a lot smaller than I was.
That's good.
No confidence in your husband.
None at all. Whew, these stairs are getting steep.
Get into bed with you.
I won't get into bed until you tell me what the what was and what the what wanted.
He was hungry.
Who was? Did you give him something to eat?
He helped himself.
I don't get it. In words of one syllable, what happened downstairs?
Come on into bed.
Oh, all right. There, I'm in bed. Now tell me. Because if you don't tell me this time, there won't be any sleeping in this house until you do.
What was that? It was the cat. What was that? It was the cat.
Shakespeare?
No, just a neighbor. A traveler in the night.
Oh.
You sound disappointed.
Oh, I'm not disappointed, but it's such a rumpus for just one little cat. I hope he found something to eat, poor little thing.
He was a big cat and quite able to take care of himself.
Anyway, I think you were very nasty to shoo him away. How would you like it if somebody did that to Shakespeare?
Well, if I were Shakespeare, I might take it amiss. But I, being me, I wouldn't give it a second thought.
Very unsympathetic of you.
Anyway, I think our visitor was more lonely than hungry.
You do?
Mm-hmm. You must get around to letting Shakespeare out so that he can meet his neighbor.
Shakespeare is a house cat.
It's high time he got to be a farm cat. How would you like to be locked up in the house all the time?
Ooh.
I wouldn't.
Well, I don't see what's so wonderful about being an outside cat. That poor little cat that was here tonight.
But cat likes that sort of thing.
I don't believe it.
They like prowling around at night.
Oh, nonsense.
It's the nature of the beast.
Shakespeare is not a beast.
That's exactly what's the matter with him. Let him out of the house so he can run in the fields and discover the world he lives in.
Shakespeare would rather stay in the house with us and be a house cat.
Shakespeare would rather go out and catch himself a nice field mouse.
It might interest you to know that Shakespeare does not like mice. One walked in front of him the other day. No interest at all.
You ought to be ashamed to admit it.
What do you mean?
First thing in the morning, I'm going to let that cat out of the house and introduce him to nature.
You will not. He'll get lost.
Well, if he gets lost, he'll find himself again. You can't lock him up forever, you know.
Shakespeare does not consider himself locked up.
Much. Now look at that cat tonight. He's learned to take care of himself. Nature meant him to go out.
I don't trust nature so much.
Do you trust me?
I don't know. You have a funny look in your eye.
It's just sleep.
Oh, is that what it is?
I have to catch the train in the morning, so shh.
Oh, all right. If you don't want to talk.
I don't. How'd you guess it?
I was just about to say, darling.
If you're not sleepy, count sheep. It helps.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Count them under your breath. That helps more.
Aren't you a little stuffy? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, how'd you like another cup of coffee?
I would love another cup of coffee.
You would?
Mm-hmm. What's the matter?
What's the matter? Couldn't you sleep? Counting sheep helps.
No, I slept all right. Finally.
Oh, careful. The coffee's boiling hot.
Ouch. That'll be enough.
Cream?
Oh, good morning, cat.
His name is Shakespeare.
It's such a big name for such a little cat.
He wants some of that cream, so go easy on it.
You feed him cream?
I passed the cream pitcher under his nose when I put down his saucer of milk. He's such a dope, he thinks he's drinking the cream.
The way you spoil that cat. I should think you'd stop molly-coddling him. Well, what's the matter with him?
Nothing. He often meows when he sits on the window just looking out.
He wants out.
Ridiculous. He's perfectly happy, and he's just talking to himself, that's all. Well, I often talk to myself, don't you?
Oh, all the time, all the time.
Of course.
Maybe our visitor from last night is outside.
You think that's who Shakespeare sees?
We'll soon find out. Shakespeare, my boy, how would you like to go forth into the cold, cold world?
David, if you dare.
What?
Besides, I'll bet even if you open the front door wide, he won't go out.
How much you want to bet,
Well, I don't want to bet anything. I just don't want you to open that door.
Sissy.
Shakespeare, you don't want to go out, do you, sweetie?
Come on, Shakespeare. Here is your chance.
You don't have to go out, Shakespeare, if you don't want to. Nobody's going to make you. David, if anything happens to him...
Nothing will. There.
You see? He hasn't moved.
Come on, boy. Come on. Now, there's a beautiful big friend out there waiting for you. Come on.
I told you he was a house cat and you wouldn't believe me, see? David! He went.
Of course he went, like a shot.
He's running across the driveway. I'll never see him again.
Well, now, stop worrying, darling.
If he eats one of our birds, I'll never forgive you. Shakespeare, come back here. David, I can't see him anymore.
Well, he's out in the world now. He's put on long pants.
What's so wonderful about long pants?
Oh, he's a big boy.
He's climbing a tree. David, stop him.
That's that a boy. Cats love climbing trees.
He's almost to the top. Shakespeare, come on down. You know, I never really thought he'd make it all the way up there.
That's the trouble with you. No confidence in man or nature.
Made it look awfully easy, too. What about coming down?
Oh, it's even easier. Well, I guess I better start catching that train.
Aren't you going to wait till he comes down from the tree?
What for?
Well, just in case that... David, now he's crying.
Is that crying?
And he's shaking like a leaf. He wants to come down and he can't.
Well, why on earth can't he?
Well, why? Why? Because he doesn't know how, obviously.
Well, let him learn how.
Very funny. Oh, look at him. His hair's sticking up like a pincushion. Oh, Shakespeare, everything's going to be all right now. Just come down slowly.
One paw at a time.
David, if you're not going to do anything about it, I'm going to call the fire department.
You will do nothing of the sort.
People always call the fire department when cats are caught in trees.
Well, we're not people, and Shakespeare is not just an ordinary, everyday cat.
He certainly isn't.
Now, our cat can get himself down from that tree, or he can jolly well stay up there until he gets the courage to get himself down.
It's not a matter of courage. It's a matter of talent.
Oh, he has that, too.
The trouble is, all of a sudden, you've got so proud and manly about Shakespeare.
Well, I've got to catch my train. If Shakespeare is still up in the tree when I get home tonight, I'll climb up after him.
But you can't leave him up there all day.
How would you like to take the car out of the garage, darling?
Don't do me any favors, thank you. I'm not going near that car until Shakespeare is on dry land again.
Every cloud has a silver lining.
I know what I'll do. I'll put a little saucer of cream under the tree. He'll come down for that.
Molly coddling.
You'll be down in a minute, Shakespeare. Stop fussing. I'm going to get you some lovely cream.
Well, you'd better hurry, or you won't get a chance to say goodbye to me. I'm putting on my coat.
Be right there.
I didn't realize it was so late. Well, look who's here. Hello, Shakespeare. Hey, darling, guess who just walked in the front door?
Who?
Shakespeare. Hey, and look who else is here.
Well, you talented cat. I knew you'd come down. Hello. Who's your friend, Shakespeare?
That's our visitor from last night.
Shakespeare's visitor now.
He has quite a lot of influence on him, hasn't she?
I guess maybe cats get lonesome, too. For other cats, I mean.
And in the spring, boys like girls.
And I'm certainly glad you like me, darling. Because without you, I'd certainly be up a tree. Dum, 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 la, 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 la. La, 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 la.
Having a party? You may have to stop and figure out what the eats will be. But when it comes to drinks, just ask your grocer or service station attendant to put a case of Coke in the car. With plenty of Coca-Cola in the house, you have the refreshment situation well in hand. And Coke is only a nickel a bottle. A point well worth considering these days when we're all budget conscious.
Say, Joe, did you ever own a cat?
Well, once I did, David, but Skeezix, that was his name, went out, and instead of bringing his friends home, Skeezix never came back.
Oh, a gypsy cat. Well, I think Shakespeare will come home every time, especially after tomorrow when he sees just where our property ends.
Why? What's happening tomorrow, David?
I've made an appointment with Matthew Warren. He's our neighbor to the north. We're meeting to mend our walls.
An old New England custom, isn't it? Two neighbors meeting to rebuild their fences.
I'm looking forward to it, too. And so's Claudia.
And so am I. I'll see you tomorrow, David, where the Nortons meet the Warrens.
And where Claudia learns that good fences make good neighbors. So long, Joe.
Bye, David. As I was saying, every day, Monday through Friday, Claudia comes to you transcribed with the best wishes of your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola. So listen again tomorrow at the same time. And now this is Joe King saying au revoir. And remember, whoever you are, whatever you do, wherever you may be, when you think of refreshment, think of Coca-Cola. For Coca-Cola makes any pause the pause that refreshes. And ice-cold Coca-Cola is everywhere. These broadcasts are adapted for radio by Manya and Roger Starr, and the entire production is supervised and directed by William Brown Maloney. And now here's a word from your friendly neighbor who bottles Coca-Cola.
It's too bad those friendly neighbors are all gone. There was a day when every town had a Coca-Cola bottler. Those days are long gone, aren't they? April 26, 1948, Claudia here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Thank this station, support their advertisers. Their kindness and courtesy allows us to be with you every time we roll around here on your favorite station. Miss a day, you don't have to miss a show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows on demand. There's a listing of sites that have our shows available for using through podcast. You can also find our social media links. And if you'd like to help us acquire additional classic radio collections, you can buy me a copy. That buy me a copy goes to acquire additional collections and also helps us maintain our distribution channels. That is at classicradio.stream. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.